Even if the results are not as expected, life is a journey full of highs and lows, and sometimes it feels like our hopes get tangled up with reality in ways we never expected. We all have moments where we dream big, whether it's about landing that dream job, finding true love, or seeing a prayer answered, and we pour our hearts into believing it'll happen. But what do we do when things don't turn out the way we pictured? Maybe you prayed for healing, but the doctor's report didn't change, or you trusted God for a breakthrough, only to face another closed door. It's in these moments of uncertainty and disappointment that our faith gets tested the most. We might wonder, is God even listening? Have I been forgotten? Let me tell you something comforting. You're not alone in feeling this way. Every single one of us has wrestled with doubts at some point. It's human to question, to feel let down when life doesn't match our plans. But here's the beautiful truth. Faith isn't about everything going perfectly. It's about holding on to trust, even when the road gets bumpy. Think of it like a kite in the wind. The string keeps it steady, even when the gusts try to pull it off course. That string is your faith in God's love and wisdom, keeping you grounded no matter what storms come your way. When I think about strengthening faith, I picture someone standing at the edge of a foggy cliff. You can't see what's ahead. Maybe it's a drop, maybe it's solid ground, but you take a step anyway because you trust there's a purpose. That's what God asks of us, to step forward even when we're unsure. The Bible says in Hebrews 11:1 that faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. It's not blind optimism. It's a deep, quiet knowing that God's got us, even when we can't see the whole picture. Let's get real for a second. Maybe you're watching this because you're in one of those tough spots right now. Your marriage isn't what you hoped, your finances are a mess, or you're just tired of waiting for something to change. I've been there too. A few years ago, I prayed non-stop for a job I thought was perfect for me. I didn't get it, and I was crushed. But looking back, I see how God had something better waiting, a path I couldn't have planned myself. That's the thing about faith. It grows strongest in the waiting, in the trusting, in the letting go of our need to control everything. So how do we strengthen our faith when life feels shaky? Start small. Talk to God like He's a friend sitting next to you. Tell Him your worries, your dreams, even your frustrations. Read stories in the Bible of people who kept going despite the odds. We'll dive into Job later. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, not tear you down. And most importantly, remind yourself daily that God's love isn't tied to your circumstances. It's constant, unshakable, and bigger than any disappointment. Faith isn't a one-time decision. It's a muscle you build, day by day, step by step. And with every step, you'll find peace creeping in, even when the world feels chaotic. The struggle with disappointment. Disappointment is something we all know too well. It's that sinking feeling when your kid doesn't make the team, when a relationship falls apart, or when you've prayed for months and still don't see an answer. As humans, we're wired to feel deeply, to hope, to dream, to expect, and that's a beautiful thing. But it also means we're set up to hurt when reality doesn't line up with our desires. Maybe you've asked, why hasn't God fixed this yet? Or, what did I do wrong? If you've ever felt that sting, this section is for you. Because disappointment doesn't have to break your faith. It can actually build it. Let's break it down. When we trust in something, whether it's God, a person, or a plan, we naturally picture how it's going to turn out. Say you're praying for a loved one to get better. You imagine them healthy, laughing, back to their old self. But then the news comes. They're not improving. That gap between what you hoped and what happened, that's where disappointment lives. And if we're not careful, it can spiral into doubt. Maybe God doesn't care. Maybe I'm not good enough. Sound familiar? It's a trap we all fall into sometimes, but here's the good news. Disappointment doesn't mean God's abandoned you. It means He's working in ways you might not see yet. Take Job, for example. If anyone had a reason to give up, it was him. This guy had it all: family, wealth, health, and then bam, it was gone. His kids died, his money vanished, and he was covered in sores. His friends even said, just curse God and get it over with. But Job? He didn't. He cried out. Sure, he was human, but he never stopped believing God was still good. In Job 13:15 he says, though he slay me, yet will I hope in him. That's raw, unshakable faith. Job didn't get a neat explanation for his pain, but he got something better: a deeper trust in God's character. Now, I'm not saying it's easy to bounce back from disappointment. It's okay to grieve, to feel the weight of it. I remember a time when a close friend betrayed me. I had trusted them with everything, and when they walked away, I felt lost. I questioned God, why let this happen? But over time, I saw how that hurt pushed me closer to Him. It taught me to lean on His strength, not just my own. That's the thing. Disappointment can be a teacher if we let it. It strips away our illusions of control and reminds us who's really holding it all together. So how do we deal with it? First, feel it. Don't shove it down. Talk to God about it, even if it's messy. Second, look back at times He's come through for you before. It's proof He hasn't forgotten you. And third, hold on to this. God's plan isn't ruined by your setbacks. Romans 8:28 promises He works all things for good for those who love Him. Not some things, all things. That heartbreak, that unanswered prayer, it's not the end of the story. Disappointment might shake your faith, but it doesn't have to shatter it. Let it be the soil where your trust grows deeper, stronger, and more resilient than ever. The role of faith in our lives. Faith isn't just a Sunday morning word. It's the heartbeat of how we live every day. It's what gets you out of bed when the alarm goes off and life feels heavy. It's the quiet voice saying, keep going, when you want to quit. Faith isn't passive, like sitting back and waiting for miracles to drop from the sky. No, it's active. It shapes how you think, how you act, how you love. It's the lens you see the world through, especially when everything's blurry. And for those of us who trust in God, it's the foundation that holds us steady, no matter what comes our way. Think of faith like the roots of a tree. You don't see them, but they're what keep it standing through storms. When you trust God, you're rooting yourself in His promises, His love, His wisdom, His timing. That doesn't mean you'll always get why things happen. Maybe your business failed or your family's struggling and you're wondering, God, what's the deal? Faith doesn't promise answers on demand. What it does promise is peace in the middle of the mess, because you know the one who's writing the story. Jesus dropped a truth bomb in Matthew 7:20 when He said faith as small as a mustard seed can move mountains. A mustard seed's tiny, barely bigger than a pinhead, but it's enough. You don't need perfect, unshakable belief 24/7. Some days your faith might feel wobbly, and that's okay. It's not about how big it is, it's about who you're putting it in. God's the one with the power, not you. I love that. It takes the pressure off. You don't have to be a spiritual superhero. You just have to trust Him a little, and He'll do the heavy lifting. I've seen this play out in my own life. A while back, I was stressing over a big decision. Should I move to a new city or stay put? I prayed, I worried, I made pros and cons lists. My faith felt small, like I was barely hanging on. But I took a leap, trusting God had my back. And you know what? That move led to friendships and opportunities I couldn't have dreamed up. Faith didn't give me a crystal ball. It gave me courage to step into the unknown. That's what it does. It turns fear into action, doubt into hope. Faith also changes how we treat people. When you trust God's in control, you're freer to forgive, to be patient, to let go of grudges. It's not just about you and God, it's about how you live with everyone else. So if you're watching this and wondering how to make faith real, start here. Trust Him with one thing today. Maybe it's a worry you've been carrying. Hand it over and watch how it shifts your perspective. Faith's a journey, not a race, and every step you take builds a life rooted in peace, purpose, and unshakable hope. Trusting in God's timing. Waiting is hard. We live in a world of Amazon Prime, instant downloads, and microwave dinners. Everything's fast, and we like it that way. So when God says, "Not yet," it can feel like a punch to the gut. You've been praying for a spouse, a baby, a job, and the clock's ticking. You're checking your phone, refreshing your inbox, wondering when it's your turn. Trusting God's timing isn't easy. It's one of the biggest tests of faith there is. But here's the secret. His delays aren't denials. They're invitations to grow, to trust, to see the bigger picture He's painting. Look at Abraham. God promised him a son, a whole legacy, but then made him wait decades. Sarah was 90 when Isaac finally arrived. 90. Can you imagine the years of wondering, did I hear God wrong? But Abraham kept trusting. And when Isaac was born, it wasn't just a baby, it was proof God keeps His word. That wait wasn't wasted. It built Abraham's faith into something rock solid. The Bible's full of these stories. Joseph in prison, David running from Saul, people who waited and came out stronger. God's timing isn't random, it's perfect, even when it drives us crazy. I've had my own battles with waiting. A few years ago, I was desperate to get out of a dead-end job. I prayed, applied everywhere, nothing. Months dragged on and I felt stuck. But in that season, I learned patience I didn't know I had. I grew closer to God, started a side project that became a passion. When the right job finally came, I was ready, not just to take it, but to thrive in it. Waiting didn't feel good, but it did me good. That's God's timing. It's not about punishing you, it's about preparing you. So, how do we trust when the wait feels endless? First, stop watching the clock. It only makes it worse. Focus on what you can do now. Pray, learn, help someone else. Second, remind yourself of God's track record. He's never late in the Bible, and He won't be with you. Third, find joy in the in-between. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says there's a time for everything under heaven. Your season's coming, even if it's not today. Trusting God's timing doesn't mean you stop hoping. It means you rest in the certainty that He's working, even when you can't see it. And when the answer comes, it'll be worth every second you waited. When things don't go according to plan. Life has a funny way of throwing curveballs, doesn't it? One minute you're sailing along, full of hope and prayers, thinking you've got it all figured out. The next, everything flips upside down. Maybe you worked hard for a promotion, only to see someone else get it. Or you poured your heart into a relationship that still fell apart. Despite your best efforts, your plans crumble, and you're left staring at a pile of disappointment, wondering, where do I go from here? It's in these moments, when setbacks hit and challenges loom large, that giving up feels tempting. But here's the thing, this is exactly when faith becomes your lifeline. It's easy to trust God when the sun's shining and life's going your way. When the bills are paid, the kids are healthy, and your coffee's still hot. Faith feels natural. But when the storms roll in, when the giants in your life tower over you, that's when faith gets real. It's not just a warm, fuzzy feeling anymore. It's a choice, a stand you take when everything else is shaky. Think about David facing Goliath. Picture this. A scrawny teenage shepherd with a slingshot staring down a 9-foot warrior decked out in armor. Everyone else saw a lost cause. David didn't even have a sword, but he didn't need one. Why? Because his faith wasn't in his own strength. It was in God's power. He trusted that the same God who'd helped him fight off lions as a shepherd would take down this giant too. And with one smooth stone, Goliath was history. Now let's bring that home. What's your Goliath? Maybe it's a health scare that keeps you up at night, a financial hole you can't climb out of, or a dream you've buried because it feels too big. Those giants can look unbeatable, mocking you, daring you to try. I've had my own. A few years back, I lost a job I loved out of nowhere. I'd prayed about it, planned my future around it, and then, poof, it was gone. I felt defeated, like God had missed my memo. But looking back, that loss pushed me to trust Him in a way I never had before. It wasn't easy, but it taught me something. Faith isn't about what I can see or control. It's about believing God's got a plan, even when mine falls apart. David's story isn't just a cool Bible tale, it's a blueprint for us. He didn't win because he was the strongest or the tallest. He won because he leaned on God's strength. You don't have to be perfect or have it all together to face your giants. Maybe you're watching this thinking, I don't even know where to start. Start small. Pray about that challenge staring you down. Ask God for just enough courage to take one step. That's what David did. He picked up a stone and trusted God with the rest. And here's the kicker. God didn't just help him win. He used that victory to shape David into a king. Your struggles, they're not just roadblocks, they're stepping stones to something bigger. So when things don't go according to plan, don't throw in the towel. This is your moment to dig deep, to trust that God's working even when you can't see it. Life might not look like the picture you painted, but God's painting something better, something you'll see in time. Hold on to faith, not because it fixes everything instantly, but because it carries you through. It's your anchor in the chaos, your light in the dark. And with every giant you face, you're not just surviving, you're growing stronger, braver, and closer to the person God's calling you to be. Maintaining faith during trials. Trials are the uninvited guests of life. They show up without warning, sickness, loss, conflict, and suddenly you're in the deep end, wondering how you'll keep your head above water. In those moments, it's easy to feel like God's gone quiet, like He's left the room just when you need Him most. But here's the truth that's carried me through my darkest days. Faith isn't just for the good times, it's made for the hard ones. When everything's falling apart, faith is what holds you together. The Apostle Paul knew a thing or two about trials, shipwrecks, prison, beatings, you name it, he faced it. Yet in Romans 8:28 he writes, "In all things God works for the good of those who love Him." All things. Not just the wins, not just the sunny days, but the messy, painful stuff too. That's a bold promise, and it's one I've clung to when life's felt unfair. Take my friend Sarah, for example. She battled cancer for years, chemo, surgeries, the works. She prayed for healing, we all did, but it didn't come the way we hoped. She passed away last year. Did God fail her? No. In her struggle, she found a strength and grace that touched everyone around her. Her faith didn't erase the trial, but it transformed it into something beautiful. That's what trials do. They refine us. James 1:3-4 says, "The testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." Think of it like gold in a furnace. The heat doesn't destroy the gold. It purifies it, burning away the junk to leave something precious. Your hardships, they're the fire. They hurt, sure, but they're shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, more resilient. I've seen it in my own life. When my marriage hit a rough patch, I thought we were done. Nights of arguments, days of silence, I doubted God cared. But as we fought through it, leaning on prayer and patience, we came out closer than ever. The trial didn't break us, it built us. Maintaining faith in hard times isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's okay to cry, to yell, to ask God why. He can handle it. What matters is not letting go. When I lost my mom unexpectedly, I felt abandoned. Where was God in that? But little by little, through quiet moments of prayer and memories of her faith, I saw He was there. In the friends who showed up, in the peace that crept in. Faith during trials is gritty. It's choosing to trust when you'd rather give up. It's saying, I don't get it, but I know you're good. How do you keep going? Lean into what's steady. Read Psalm 23. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Talk to God like He's right there. He is. And look back. Remember times He's pulled you through before. Trials don't last forever, but the faith they build does. They're not punishment, they're preparation. So if you're in the thick of it right now, hold on. God's working for your good, even in the mess. You're not alone, and you're stronger than you think. The peace of trusting in God. There's something magical about peace, the kind that settles over you like a warm blanket, even when life's a storm. It's not the absence of problems, it's the presence of something bigger. When we trust God, really trust Him, we tap into that peace. Philippians 4:6-7 puts it perfectly. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. That's not just a verse. It's a promise, a lifeline for when things don't go our way. Trusting God doesn't mean we always get what we want. Maybe you prayed for a clear path, but the road's still foggy. I've been there. When my son was struggling in school, I begged God to fix it. Better grades, happier days. It didn't happen overnight, but in the waiting I found a calm I can't explain. It wasn't because the problem vanished. It was because I stopped carrying it alone. That's what trust does. It hands the wheel over to God and says, you drive. And when He's in control, peace tags along, even if the ride's bumpy. This peace isn't logical. It transcends understanding. Think about that. You might be facing a layoff, a diagnosis, a heartbreak, and somehow you're still okay. Not because you figured it out, but because you know God has. I saw this with my neighbor Mike. He lost his house in a fire, everything gone. Yet there he was, smiling, helping others, saying, God's got me. That's trust in action. It's not denying the pain, it's resting in the one who holds the future. How do you find this peace? Start with prayer. Spill it all out. Your fears, your hopes, your why me's. Add a little thanks, not for the problem, but for who God is. I do this every morning. God, I'm scared about money, but thanks for always providing. It shifts your focus. Then let go. Stop replaying worst-case scenarios. Guilty. Trusting God's plan means believing it's good, even when it's not yours. Jeremiah 29:11 says, His plans are to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you hope and a future. That's your anchor. This peace guards you. It's like a shield around your heart and mind. So if anxiety's knocking, trust is your bouncer. It won't fix everything, but it'll carry you through anything. You're not promised a perfect life, but you are promised a perfect peace when you lean on Him. Take a deep breath today. God's got this, and He's got you. Holding on to faith. Faith is a journey, not a sprint. It's a winding road with sunny stretches and shadowed valleys, and it's in those valleys where we learn what trust really means. When life's smooth, faith feels effortless. God's good, life's great. Amen. But when plans derail, when the unexpected hits, that's when faith gets tested. And here's the beauty. It doesn't have to be big to be strong. Jesus said a mustard seed's worth can move mountains. Matthew 17:20. So even if your faith feels tiny right now, it's enough. It's not about you, it's about the God you're trusting. Holding on isn't always pretty. Some days it's a white-knuckled grip, others it's a quiet whisper, I'm still here. I've had both. When my dad got sick, I prayed for a miracle. He didn't make it, and I wrestled with God. Why not? But in the grief, I found He was still faithful. Not in the way I wanted, but in ways I needed. Peace, strength, a community that carried me. Faith isn't about getting every answer. It's about trusting God's heart when you don't. Life's challenges don't mean God's checked out. He's there. in the silence, in the struggle, weaving something good. Romans 8:28 isn't a cliche, it's a rock to stand on. So when things don't make sense, don't let go. Pray for strength, lean on his promises, and trust his timing. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." That's your invitation. Rest in him. You're not walking this alone. He's with you, every step, guiding you to a hope-filled tomorrow. After watching, remember to like, subscribe to the channel, and comment on the video. I have many good videos to share. Learn to give, and God will give peace to you and your family.